The preliminary estimate for growth in the quarter ending June 2024 is 0.1%.
Over 100, 0.1.
Senator Bunting.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Minister, for this statement. I was trying to identify what was the specific topic of the statement, but it's rather wide-ranging. Prices was about a page or two, but most of it seemed to be more on foreign direct investment, local direct investment, and one quite extraordinary statement there, which says, and I quote, "Mr. President, Jamaica currently has a booming economy," end quote. Now, he said that, and it's in his text. So I would really like the Minister, Madam President, to give us some specific data to support his statement, because it is certainly inconsistent with the publications by PIOJ, by Statin, and the forecast given by the Bank of Jamaica in its last quarterly briefing. So specifically, the PIOJ released the second quarter growth figures, which show an economy that's stalled. Its preliminary estimate is 0.1%. The preliminary estimate for growth in the quarter ending June 2024 is 0.1%.
Over 100, 0.1.
0.1%. Right? Less than 1%. 1/10 of 1%. And we know that these figures are often revised downwards. Can be revised upwards as well, but they're often revised downwards. And I want to, for emphasis, to say this did not include the impact of burial, because this would have been up to June 30th. So we hadn't seen the burial impact at that point. But in fact, if you graph the last 8 or so quarters, from 2 years prior, ending in the quarter ending June, you will see a steady downward decline. Since that quarter and since that publication, the Bank of Jamaica has forecast that there will be negative growth in this quarter, ending September. They have predicted there will be negative growth, a decline in the economy. And I think there's a fairly strong chance that the second half of this year, the economy will be in recession. Specifically, because the minister spent some time on the construction sector, specifically, construction was down 2.4% in the second quarter before burial, and it was down for the first half, negative 3.1%. Negative growth for the first half, the construction sector. We know from an article a day or two ago, I didn't hear what the minister responded, but we know that one of the large BPO operators has closed 2 of their facilities, and they are forecasting decline.
For innovation.
No, not for innovation, because they're seeing an overall decline. I personally know that another one of the large operators in Jamaica, in a conversation with me a couple of months ago, is predicting that the impact of artificial intelligence and other trends means that we'll likely see, at least in their operation, and they have thousands of employees, you will likely see a 40 to 60% decline in employment over the next 2 to 3 years. And my colleagues here know that I shared this with them months ago.
You did.
Months ago, even while the government was still trumpeting a boom.
No, they're not trumpeting, they're ringing the bell.
There are other troubling signs. Troubling signs. NHT housing starts. The first quarter, for which we have data, there was a 56% decline in NHT housing starts. I know my colleague on my left here is very concerned about the implications for average Jamaicans.
Yeah.
We saw the results of one of the major hotel operators in Jamaica, Playa. I believe they operate about 5 hotels in Jamaica. They're one of the few publicly listed companies that we can get independent information from. And we saw that both their occupancies and perhaps more importantly, their yields were down for the first half of this year.
Well, that is the second rank minister.
I believe the travel tax was also significantly down for the first 4 months of the year.
Because the rivals the keys.
Correct. But the minister then turned to a table which showed foreign direct investment coming and was ecstatic that the flows between 2022 and 2023 had increased by 35%.
Wow.
On the face of it, that sounds like a very strong increase from 319 million to 431 million. So I myself was thinking about this and saying, but this seems much lower than the figures we're accustomed to hearing. So I went to the World Bank website and I looked, for example, what did they show for Jamaica a few years ago? So for example, if we go to 2015, which was the last year that the PNP full year that the PNP was in government, the figure was 925 million.
How much it is now?
925 million US FDI, and my source is the World Bank Group.
How much Minister you said now?
So from what they took it over, they're now less than half that, but celebrating. They're less than half of what they inherited, but celebrating that at least 2023, though anemic, was better than 2022. And this decline, by the way, started long before COVID or long before burial. So before you go try, blame it on that.
Data don't lie.
The data doesn't lie. The data doesn't lie. So, you know, I I realized the minister was really scratching for something positive when he celebrated
Well, it's tight.
a cafe at UA opening. A cafe at UA opening. The investment value of approximately a 2-bedroom house, a 2-bedroom scheme house. I know that he was struggling. There are many more 2-bedroom houses that you could probably announce one by one. That costs 30 million, Minister. But it doesn't, all of these figures, all of these I've quoted from reputable sources, not gaslighting sources, reputable sources, not known to be gaslighters. All of that data from the World Bank Group, from Statin, from PIOJ, from BOJ, all that data contradicts your suggestion of a booming economy. Shows an economy that had stalled by the end of June and is now in decline, and quite likely could be in recession by the end of the year. So, Minister, you know, what you have done here is concerning. And as I said, I don't want to poo-poo 30 million investment in a coffee shop is great for a small or medium-sized business. Lidford Mining, I mean, excellent operation, first class. Don't want to take anything away from them. But just to put in perspective, a 2.4 million US investment is approximately the price of a Cat D11 bulldozer. So in the context of a bauxite, alumina, and mining industry more generally, what you're talking about there is an addition of a D11 bulldozer to the stock. So, so you know, let us not bury our head in the sand, Minister. The economy is facing tough times. It's facing lots of challenges. Commend all the private sector companies for their initiatives, whether large private sector, medium or small private sector. But let us not confuse those who are trying to plan that we are in the middle of an economic boom. We are not. It's very, very serious times. If we go back, non-performing loans in the banking sector are the highest they have been since 2017. That is a broad indicator of the state of companies and individuals in this economy. They're struggling to meet their debt obligations. The fact that the Bank of Jamaica, the BOJ 30-day CD rate, has dropped by 320 basis points over the last couple months. 3.2% approximately. That tells us that the Bank of Jamaica realizes that the economy is going into a tailspin. It's diving, it's not growing. They need to dramatically provide some kind of stimulus because the tightening, the fiscal tightening is helping to bring the economy to a halt. And I'm not blaming Bank of Jamaica. Bank of Jamaica has their independent mandate. Their mandate is to contain inflation. Their mandate is for financial sector stability. But your mandate, Minister, is for growth. And you have to start from the position of truth. And the truth is, we have been in a decline for the last 8 quarters in terms of growth. It stalled at the end of June. It is negative in this quarter. And if we're not careful, we'll be in a recession by the end of the year.